Hi everybody, I'm Mike Hoffman. I'm the Chief Meteorologist for WNDU TV, and I also do weather programs for Ag Day and U.S. Farm Report that are shown all across the country. So to give you a little history of myself real quick before I give you a tour of the studio here, I grew up in a small town here in Indiana, so I suppose Hoosier born and bred, but ended up going to Purdue University to study atmospheric sciences. I've always loved the weather. My mom tells me even when I was 2 or 3 years old, I'd pull the rocking horse up to the front door just to watch the snow coming down. So I was a little bit weird like that, I suppose you could say, but it's one of those things that has always interested me, and obviously I became a meteorologist, and now I get to talk to thousands of people every day about the weather. I also grew up in the Church of the Brethren, just so you know. Timbercrest is run by the Church of the Brethren, and both of my parents were, and my wife and I are now United Methodists, but very similar in that in a lot of ways. Liz Bauer is my aunt, and she lives there in Timbercrest, and so I have some connections there. Besides the Church of the Brethren part of it, Liz is there, and I've visited her a couple of times, although it's been kind of hard during COVID to come in there. One time we were standing between glass, or with glass between us, but it's been fun. So I wanted to show you the studios here. You can see the whole thing, several cameras, the news desk here where Terry and Lauren sit, and most of the time I'm standing on the other side of it. These big monitors here can show anything we want them to. They can be a huge picture of our Skyview cameras, whatever we want to put in there, but it is really cool to be able to change the background continuously for us. Over here is where we do sports most of the time, but they can also do other special events. These are 70-inch TV screens on their side, but they can show one big picture, or they can show 3 different pictures. They can do pretty much whatever they want to do here. And of course the cameras just kind of turn around when we're doing something on this side. I'm rarely over here, but once in a while we're doing some story, and I'm standing with Terry or something, and we end up starting the story and ending the story there. But most of my time I spend in what we call the weather lab, and that is this area over here. Lots of computers. Good job getting through sometimes there's a lot of wires on the floor here, so I had to have Ty kind of come through the camera area. So lots going on outside. We've had dry weather for a while. I'm recording this on Friday night because we're going on at 12:30 in the morning because of the Olympics. And so sometimes we have to do that. So I won't get home tomorrow morning until probably closer to 1:30 in the morning. So we have lots of computers here, obviously. This computer here, I can look up a lot of things. That's more like just a normal internet computer, so I can look things up. But these are all of my graphics computers, and we'll go through them a little bit here. You can see the thunderstorms that are out there right now. You can maybe hear it on the roof here. We're getting a thunderstorm here in South Bend. So we can move this around, looking real close into an area to see thunderstorms. Move it back to see them coming across the LaPorte area, Michigan City, right along the lake shore, all getting thunderstorms. So all of these things are adjustable. I can take off the lightning. I can have any warnings would suddenly show up here, all of those different things that we want. The other thing is we talk about computer models a lot of times. So those are huge computers that take all the information from around the whole northern hemisphere every 6 hours, and they go into this huge computer, and it spits out its estimate of what the weather is going to look like all around the northern hemisphere. And so when we go into one of those models, let me pull one up that's going to be coming up soon here. It's kind of showing the Midwest. I'll zoom in a little bit here. But so this is a model that's estimating what it's going to look like at 11 p.m. Now, if you notice the radar, it's got some showers and thunderstorms around, but the radar has a lot more on it than the computer model thought it would by now. So the models are definitely not perfect, but they do at least give us an idea. Now it does have a pretty good area overnight tonight, so we may end up with a decent amount of rain. Obviously this is from last Friday by the time you're looking at this, and so the weather is long gone. But you'll notice it can show the next batch of energy coming in, the next area of showers and thunderstorms as we head into the next week. And so that's all an estimate. Every 6 hours this would update and give us brand new information on that. But I can look at several different computer models and try and come up with the best forecast that we possibly can. This computer here actually has the Skyview cameras. So right now this is our camera right outside WNDU's station here. And there is a thunder shower going on right now, so everything's kind of wet. I saw a flash off a second ago. That's downtown South Bend. But we have been getting some thunder and lightning. But I can call up some other ones, like we can go to the Notre Dame Library camera, where at night there's only the light shining on the Golden Dome at this point. I can go to Mishawaka. That's usually a good camera, and you can see that. Now, obviously, during the daytime hours, we get different views on that. But that's kind of neat to be able to see and show the different Skyview cameras across the region. This is our on-air computer. And so right now I have it set up to do the weather for tonight. So if I went through the show, I would start right here for the first part of the show. This is just a shortened version of the weather. I have it starting off on the wide view, then I go in to show the thunderstorm hitting South Bend and Mishawaka, then I go over to show all the rain and thunderstorms, Michigan City and LaPorte and on up into Berrien County, and then I can show the temperatures across the region, pretty warm obviously, and then the forecast for tomorrow's day planner. I go through this. This is what I'd be doing on the air. Live coming up here in about an hour, and you can see the forecast then for the day tomorrow. Now when we actually get to the main forecast, then I can show the computer model and show the fronts which I have drawn, the cold fronts and the stationary fronts and the warm fronts, and so those I have to put on the map. Other than that, this is just the computer model projecting what the weather is going to do over the next couple of days. And so I can go every 6 hours or 12 hours or whatever, depending on what the weather's doing. And then we can go to the actual forecast page. So forecast for tonight, and then the 10-day forecast with the different parts kind of shown over the next couple of days and showing the entire thing there. So this is the one that I have to have all set up, ready to go once I'm getting ready to go on television. There's lots of different things we can show in here. Let me see if I can have some examples. One would be like a jet stream forecast. And again, this is a computer model that we've chosen. And I set up the map where I want it. I want to show the whole northern hemisphere here so that we can see what's going on. Another thing we've been doing a lot lately is showing the forest fire smoke, and this is a forecast for that. As we head through the next few days, it's actually showing a fair amount of smoke coming on through, and that would probably give us some colorful sunsets and sunrises across Michiana. But it won't really cause any problems with our breathing, although sometimes these thunderstorms can bring some activity, some of that smoke down to the ground level where it affects us. It's also being washed out by the rain. So we rarely see any issues with that. So once I'm ready to go on the air, I would come over here, get my coat on. I have a microphone that I would have hooked up, and I already have one on now, so it would be similar to this. I'd take it up through the buttons on my shirt so the wire doesn't show coming up to my tie, and then they have to be able to talk to me back in the control room. So I have this wireless, what they call the IFB, and I put it on the back of my tie and put it in my ear, and then they can talk to me and tell me how much time I have, whether once in a while I have to cut away, and they say that the there's a special report from NBC, and maybe in the middle of my weathercast, we're all done with it. So I have to throw to NBC at that point. So over here is the green screen. I'm not sure how many of you have heard of this before, and it's not set up for the green screen part. I had asked that, but anyway, well, I'll try and explain it here. This is my weather map. This is all that I'm going to see in person, or if you were watching in the studio here, you would just see me, silly person, pointing at a green wall and talking about it. And what I have to do then is I can't look here and see where South Bend is, or where North Manchester is, or where Peru is, or anything like that. I have to look at a TV set off to that side, off to this side, or there's one right above the camera here where I see myself in front of the map. And that's where I'm looking. When I look off to the side, when I look to the camera, I'm actually seeing myself in front of the weather map, because what they do is they cut out of the picture everything that's bright green and replace it with my weather map or whatever I want to put behind me. So everything that's bright green suddenly shows up as the weather map. So if I wore, and I can't demonstrate this because the TV sets aren't set up here, but that's okay. If I wore a green shirt, let's say, like this, this would become part of the weather map. So I would have a hole in me here, and you'd see the weather map through me. If I wore a turtleneck of this color, all you would see is my head and hands floating in front of the weather map, and it would look kind of silly, obviously. We would only do that on, and I've never done it live on TV, but I've seen morning people do it on Halloween or April Fool's Day or something like that, just to have some fun. But you might think this is really hard to do, but what it helps us do is we don't have to have a huge screen back here. It's real simple to have this green screen, and everything becomes part of the map, and that way we can go through 10, 15 different maps. When I was growing up, and when many of you were growing up, you might have watched Dick Addis do the weather here on Channel 16, and he would draw the cold fronts on live on television on a map on the wall. Now to move to another map, he would have to go over here and do something, or back over here, or flip it over and show what's on the back side of it. Now I can have a little button in my hand, just a little clicker like a garage door clicker, and it changes the maps on my computer that I just showed you a few minutes ago. So it's kind of cool. It's something to get used to real fast. I'd love to tell you that only a few people in the world can do it, but no, about a week of practice, and I know where I'm standing, I know what to point at. I look over there and see what I'm pointing at, and I can figure out the entire weather. So this is where I do most of my weathercasts. I do all the preparation over in the weather lab part, and that's how we end up getting weather on television. And so when I do Ag Day or U.S. Farm Report, I have a national map. I'm talking to people all across the country when I do that, and so I have to talk to them in a little different way. I'm not Michiana anymore. I'm nowhere. I'm just talking to them and forecasting to them, or for them, for all different parts of the country, and using the weather maps in that way. And I love doing that. I love talking to farmers in the farming community, because they understand the weather and they understand the chaos of weather and how it's very tough to forecast. That's probably the one thing that is the toughest part, is trying to get people to understand weather forecasting is never going to be perfect. Even when I'm 90 years old, it's still not going to be perfect. It's going to be a little better. We get a little better all the time with better computers, but it's never going to be a perfect forecast, because we're dealing with the future of chaos. And so when you think about it, there's an infinite number of air particles all around the world, all going different temperatures, different speeds, different humidities. And the forecasts are trying to figure all that out and figure out how that's going to affect us. And so that's what makes it really hard. So I think most people understand that, and understand that we're not always going to be right, but that's the hardest part about this job. The other part is being a celebrity. I'm I'm deep down inside, I'm a shy person, and I know that might sound weird being on television, but I am. And so being a celebrity, I've had to get used to. In other words, my wife and I can't go to the mall or a movie theater or a restaurant without being recognized, me being recognized anyway, and people wanting to know how tall I am, because I am pretty tall, and you can't tell on television most of the time, and what the weather's going to be like, and all these different questions, and they just want to meet you, they want a selfie with you, or whatever. So that's something that I've had to kind of get used to. So in this business, you kind of have to walk out your front door in a good mood. And what I mean by that is you never know who you're going to meet. You're a walking billboard, or I'm a walking billboard for Channel 16, and so we have to kind of be in a good mood most of the time, even if we're not, because we all have our days, right? So that's one of those things about being a local celebrity anyway that we have to kind of deal with. One more thing before I let you go. One of the cool things I've done away from television is I've gone on mission trips 10 different times to Tapachula, Mexico. And it's with Mission on the Move. I go through with my church, and the last 6 times I've been the leader of the group taking people down there. And so we go down there and we work in homes in Tapachula where the kids are either orphans or their parents are in jail, and they need a Christian home to bring them up. And our purpose there is to bring up good people as they become adults for Tapachula, Mexico. It's in the state of Chiapas. It's the southernmost state of Mexico, and I have thoroughly loved it. I still have a lot of them as friends on Facebook. Since COVID has happened, I haven't been able to go, and it's made me sad. But hopefully someday I will get back down there, because these kids are amazing kids. They're kids, though. They make mistakes like all children do. And they have to learn from those mistakes. But they're growing up in the poorest state in Mexico. And when we go down there, we're helping them, we're loving them, we're just working with them and having a good time. And really, it's made me aware of how lucky we have it in this country, and how other parts of the country or other parts of the world just aren't as lucky as the United States. I know we have some issues in this country as well, and poor areas in this country. But when you go to a third world country, it's even different. I was able to take both of my children there at least once. Each of them went at least once, I think, to give them a perspective of that. So anyway, that's kind of my mission away from work. But this is my main work. I'll be retiring into December. December 2nd will be my last day here on WNDU. And my wife and I are looking forward to it. We're looking forward to having a little more time on our hands. I'll probably do some part-time work or something. But wanted to show you around the studio and explain a little bit, give you some history of myself, and hopefully you had a little bit of a fun time watching it. Hope you have a great day.